It is Sunday, the 27th of September 2015. Welcome to yet another edition of the stories that made headlines this week. It has been a week of political stalemate to the Democratic Alliance that saw its two contenders for the 2016 presidential flag bearership failing to reach a consensus. FDC presidential flag bearer Kanu Kizza Besigye explains why his party did not back Amama Mbabazi to hold the TDA's flag for the 2016 polls. And Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago described the status quo with the TDA coalition as shameful and despicable. These stories and more right now on Week in Focus. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. I am Jasmine Nachibule. This week has been covered by a political stalemate from the TDA camp as members to the alliance failed to come up with a single individual to carry its flag for the forthcoming general elections. The Democratic Alliance coordinator Bishop Zach Nilingia revealed that various members within the coalition reached a consensus to take different paths ahead of the 2016 polls. This followed a decision by majority parties within the coalition to endorse former Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi as a joint presidential candidate for the 2016 polls. Bishop Nilingia, while addressing the media, insisted the decision was reached following the alliance's failure to choose a single presidential candidate ahead of the 2016 polls. Arons was at TDA Naguru and filed this report.
The deadlock over TDA's failure to reach consensus for a joint presidential candidate has been looming at the TDA offices in Naguru for the last 2 weeks. According to Bishop Zach Nilingia, the move should not lead to any public notions that TDA has failed to reach a consensus, but only agree to different paths.
So our members of the alliance have presidential candidates. And as an alliance, we have to manage that process.
As various parties within the alliance addressed the media today, the mood was evident that the protocol had no room for more than one candidate.
The alliance did not arrive at a consensus on a joint presidential candidate. That is to say, as you know, that members of the alliance endorsed different candidates.
Chairperson Ambassador Waswa Birigwa, flanked by Forum for Democratic Change bigwigs and the flag bearer retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, retaliated their commitment to struggle to achieve unity, re-emphasizing the need for reforms.
The FDC remained committed to and will work and cooperate with all democracy-seeking forces to ensure regime change.
Besigye said they had made it clear for the great benefit to the TDA and the unity of the country. However, Mbabazi later conceded that there was no way he would start campaigning without a team. FDC insisted that they wanted legitimate commitment to values in the struggle, democracy, the rule of law, and human rights.
If the single candidate was, for example, the Honorable Mama Mbabazi, that a number of the traditional opposition supporters may choose not to vote. They say, if the competition now is between Honorable Mama Mbabazi and Mr. Museveni, which looks like a movement primary, we don't see why we should vote. You know, some of the opposition supporters would take that view. The same would happen if the single candidate was, for example, Besigye. Those who would be coming from the movement would say, this opposition man.
This notion, Babas alluded, are well built within his endorsement for the transition.
I have said my stance, our stance as Go Forward, represents the true values of our struggle for democracy, for unity, for prosperity of this country.
Minutes after John Patrick Amama Mbabazi had arrived at the TDA, clad in a complete suit, there was no reflection of era attachment, but a flank of a team of lawyers, Go Forward team, and DP team led by President General Norbert Mao, with the grapevine at the premises. The team looked set to announce their preferred candidate as endorsed by 7 out of the 9 parties.
Others believe that if all parties to TDA protocol were faithful and acting reasonably, we would all be stating the obvious, that Honorable Mama Mbabazi is the preferred TDA presidential candidate.
Norbert Mao would not hide it that the summit was short of simply announcing the preferred joint candidate for the coalition.
A clear decision based on an overwhelming majority was evident, namely that Honorable John Patrick Amama Mbabazi is the preferred presidential candidate of TDA.
Mbabazi insists on giving Ugandans alternative policy proposals with primarily focus on the future as the focal point of the struggle.
With true unity, meticulous organization, and a focus that is razor sharp, we will win this election and fulfill our solemn duty to transform this country for good.
With the unfolding events of drama, Mbabazi said cooperation was open to Dr. Kizza Besigye and the Forum for Democratic Change to join them.
On our side, we will go forward. As we do, the doors are open, and we will continue with the policy of engagement and hope that they will fall in line with the majority of us.
Only time can tell whether this is the right path for the TDA during the 2016 general elections.
After the FDC has addressed the media about their clear path, also the Go Forward team has done so, and TDA insists that it is clear path for the members, but not multiple candidates. Reporting for you here at the TDA offices, Plot 12 Naguru Drive, Alan Stabarka, WBS Television.
Now, with all those unfoldings, Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago described the status quo within the TDA coalition as shameful and despicable. His comments came as the Democratic Alliance failed to reach a consensus to front a single candidate to tussle it out with the incumbent President Museveni ahead of the 2016 polls. Lukwago made the revelations while at the Bench 1 Memorial Forum at St. Matia Mulumba Church.
While addressing journalists, Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago condemned TDA's delay in choosing a joint candidate. Lukwago stresses that the coalition, whose sole purpose was to oust the incumbent President Museveni from power, is instead making the ruling NRM stronger owing to the disagreements within the coalition.
And this may create some sense of confidence in the already weakening system of President Museveni. Because President Museveni, is at his weakest. Many of his colleagues, Bushwa comrades, have abandoned him. He's aging very fast. The structure, the entire empire is crumbling on its own weight. And that's the reason they have even postponed the primaries, the elections.
Lukwago says his request to join the coalition was not heeded to even after being promised membership by the summit, which was attended by Honorable Nandala Mafabi.
How on earth can the leadership of TDA sit on the application? They keep tossing us up and down. You come today, they tell you, yes, we are considering it in the next meeting. Then the next meeting comes, they tell you it's on the order paper, we could not reach that item. Wait tomorrow, wait the other day, come back this time, blah, 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 until the whole thing has crumbled before application has been put into consideration.
Lukwago says he has since then lost interest in the Democratic Alliance and vowed to decampaign the coalition amongst the counterparts.
If TDA has failed to get one flag bearer for the forthcoming presidential elections, how then can they convince us that they will sort out the issue of the multiplicity of candidates at different levels? Parliament and the local councils, including LC1. It's absolutely impossible.
The Lord Mayor of Uganda's capital Kampala, Elias Lukwago, established a truth and justice platform that aims to unite opponents of Yoweri Museveni to aggressively and assertively seek political and electoral reforms ahead of next year's elections. Davis Ahebwe, WBS TV.
Still at Nagulu, the headquarters of TDA, disgruntled members belonging to the Uganda People's Congress UPC stormed it undenounced having any ties with the alliance. Under the command of their president Jimmy Akena, they pulled down UPC's flag from the TDA headquarters in Nagulu. The party members argue that Dr. Otuno illegally signed their party into the coalition without consulting anyone. We have those details.
These youths marched all the way from UPC party headquarters at Uganda House to the Democratic Alliance headquarters in Naguru, carrying placards with inspirations reading, "TDA is not UPC's electoral commission and we want our flag now." The youthful UPC supporters warned that failure to hand over their flag would lead to consequences. Their main cause was to remove their party flag from the TDA headquarters, and they indeed succeeded. Addressing journalists at TDA, Jimmy Akena said he managed to reach a compromise with some TDA officials to pull down UPC's flag from the alliance's premises. He insisted that the party shouldn't be attached to any candidate in TDA.
We've insisted that the UPC flag or the UPC name should not be dragged into something of which we're not a party to. So at this point we have reached some level of resolution. At least the flag has come down. There will of course be further discussions, but it should be clear that UPC has not in any way endorsed any particular candidate for TDA or throughout this process.
All this drama happened under the watch of Dr. Otuno and his deputy Joseph Bosa.
You are ashamed. His action is very, very strange because Mr. Akena does not have ownership over UPC flag.
But he has claimed.
I can even fly a UPC flag on my property, on my house.
It is these statements that almost saw Joseph Bosa being attacked by one of the UPC youth who said that he had no right to whatsoever comment on UPC party matters.
Otuno was an individual. Let him tell you his pressure group. He is not the president of UPC.
Such bickering amongst opposition parties underscores the opposition's unity as the country heads for the polls in 2016. Joyce Namitala, WBS TV, Kampala.
You're still watching Wake in Focus on WBS TV. We'll return shortly with more stories. Stay with us.